My life with Ethan Vance was a five-star dining experience. Every element was curated, beautiful, and expensive. As a master sommelier, Chloe Alistair, understood the art of perfection. At 31, I was engaged to Ethan, the heir apparent to the expansive Vance luxury hotels chain, and we were co-founding a high-profile, highly anticipated restaurant called Alistair. Ethan was the very picture of aristocracy, charming, effortlessly polished, and utterly self-assured. His confidence was intoxicating, and I mistook his aristocratic grace for genuine breeding. He was the vision, and I was the meticulous talent, a partnership that everyone in the hospitality industry celebrated. The investment in Alistair was substantial, primarily sourced from Ethan's inheritance fund and a major loan secured against his family's holding company. The launch was only a month away, and I was consumed by the final details, the perfect wine list, the lighting, the service training. The only thing that ever dimmed Ethan's charm was the ruthless, cutthroat nature of his family's business. He often spoke of his rivals with contempt, particularly the Thorne family, who owned a smaller but ethically cleaner chain of boutique resorts. The betrayal was revealed not through a misplaced lipstick stain, but through a misplaced microphone. I was in Ethan's sprawling penthouse office, finalizing a last contract with a new wine supplier. Ethan had stepped out, thinking the room was empty, to take a call in the hallway. He had forgotten to turn off the expensive speaker system connected to his office conference line, a system he often used for sensitive international calls. His voice, usually smooth, was tight with desperate anxiety. "I told you, Eleanor," he hissed, using a name that was entirely foreign to me. "You have to speak to your father. My financial situation is critical. The liquid funds I funneled from the restaurant investment are tied up in the legal defense. I need that inheritance release now." I froze, the pen dropping from my hand and rolling across the polished marble floor. "Funneling funds, Eleanor?" A calm, distinctly feminine voice replied, tinged with impatience. "I know, Ethan. But my father is worried about the optics. You're supposed to be celebrating your engagement to Chloe. You're supposed to be building the restaurant. He cannot release the capital until you legally secure the inheritance through the marriage contract. The one we signed last month." The pen stopped rolling at my feet. The marriage contract. Last month. Ethan's reply was strained. "I know, but that was essential to secure the Vance legacy. I have to marry you for the inheritance, Eleanor." Chloe was just the perfect smokescreen, the professional asset. She secured the initial loan based on her reputation. She'll be devastated, of course, but once the restaurant opens and the money is completely washed, I'll sell the breakup as a mutual decision. She's too focused on wine to fight a messy financial battle. Smokescreen. Professional asset. Washed money. The elegant office, the expensive wine in the cellar, the glittering engagement ring, all dissolved into a grotesque, elaborate lie. He wasn't just cheating. He was married to a competitor's daughter, and he was bankrupting our joint venture, using my reputation as the financial leverage. The shock wasn't emotional, it was physiological. My brain registered the total, absolute destruction of my reality. My meticulous, controlled world had been revealed as a cheap prop in his inheritance scheme. My breath seized. My heart, the engine of my focused, passionate life, spasmed violently. I stumbled toward the door, trying to escape the sound of his betrayal, but the pain was immediate and paralyzing. I collapsed, the last image in my mind the shining reflection of my own devastated face in the polished marble. The last thought of Chloe Alistair, an unpaid debt of justice. The return was instantaneous and agonizingly slow. I was trapped between worlds, a brilliant, furious mind contained in a body fighting for life. The physicians called it an acute cardiac event due to extreme stress. I survived. But the Chloe who woke up was no longer the devoted fiancé. She was a vengeful strategist with an uncompromising mandate for justice. In the ensuing days, Ethan played the role of the distraught, bewildered groom. He gave tearful interviews about my fragile artistic temperament and the pressure of the restaurant launch. His performance was flawless, securing his position and diverting suspicion from the financial black holes I now knew existed. My focus was singular: to destroy Ethan Vance's inheritance, his reputation, and his life, using the only currency he understood: public ruin. I knew my weapon had to be someone whose integrity and talent could withstand Ethan's onslaught, someone Ethan had already tried and failed to destroy. The answer was Lucas Thorne. Lucas was a renowned chef who had been ruined by Ethan years ago during a bid for a major culinary contract. Ethan had leaked false, damning health reports about Lucas's kitchen, sinking his career and costing him his restaurant. Lucas, fiercely principled and uncompromisingly honest, had been forced to retreat into the shadows, running a successful but small-scale bespoke catering company far from the mainstream spotlight. Lucas was an ethical purist. Ethan was his demon. I left the hospital and went straight to the country, avoiding Ethan's suffocating care. My first move was to hire a security consultant to track Lucas. The meeting took place in the back office of Lucas's small catering kitchen, amidst the clean, industrial scent of fresh spices and steel. Lucas, 35, was rugged, intense, and guarded, his eyes burning with a deep-seated suspicion that was entirely justified. I slid a simple, leather-bound financial ledger across his steel table. "Mr. Thorne," I began, my voice cold, professional, and entirely focused. "My name is Chloe Alistair. I was engaged to Ethan Vance. And this ledger details the exact financial manipulation he used 5 years ago to sink your contract bid, including the forged health reports and the kickbacks he paid the inspector." Lucas didn't touch the ledger. He stared at me, his face granite hard. "If this is a trap, a setup from Vance to discredit me again." "It's not a setup, Lucas," I interrupted, using his first name. "It's the truth, finally finding its way to the only person who deserves it. Mark's financial situation is critical. He is secretly married to Eleanor Thompson, the daughter of his biggest competitor, and he has been funneling our restaurant investment money into his legal fund to secure his inheritance. He destroyed me financially and emotionally. He ruined your career because you were an ethical threat." I leaned in, my gaze unwavering. "I died, Lucas. And when I returned, all I wanted was justice. You want your name back? You want the proof that destroys the ethical cornerstone of the Vance empire? I have the evidence to expose his fraud, his secret marriage, and his financial ruin. But I need your help to execute the final, public act of vengeance." Lucas finally picked up the ledger. His eyes scanned the detailed figures, the complex trail of deceit, and the undeniable proof of his professional murder. His rage was quiet, controlled, and absolute. "And what is the price for this evidence, Chloe?" he asked, his voice low and dangerous. I gave him the final term of the transaction. "I want a public alliance that shatters his prestige. I want you to partner with me. We will open the restaurant Alistair as Thorne Alistair, and we will use that platform to launch the public exposé during the grand opening gala of his new hotel venture. I want him to look at the destruction and know that the woman he betrayed, with the man he ruined, authored his downfall." Lucas paused, looking from the damning ledger to my face. He saw the cold, determined fire and recognized the absolute focus of a mind driven by necessary justice. "The alliance is accepted, Chloe," he said, his voice firm. "But let me make one thing clear. If we partner, we are not building a temporary revenge plot. We are building a new, honest foundation. And you are my equal in every single step." The alliance between Lucas and me was a masterclass in professional synergy. We moved quickly, using my intimate knowledge of the Vance organization and Lucas's uncompromising culinary talent. First, the restaurant. We seized control of the Alistair venture, filing legal documents that exposed Ethan's misuse of investment funds and effectively forcing him out of the project. We rebranded as Thorne Alistair, positioning ourselves as the ethical, creative alternative to the Vance machine. The industry was stunned. The speed of my recovery and my sudden, public partnership with Ethan's rival was a major scandal, exactly as planned. The kitchen was Lucas's sanctuary. His focus was fierce, uncompromising, and absolutely honest. He didn't cut corners, he didn't use cheaper substitutes, and he didn't tolerate a single lie in the preparation of the food. I managed the front of house, curating a wine list that was innovative, daring, and reflective of my own renewed passion for integrity. We spent our days strategizing, leveraging my access to Ethan's network to poach key suppliers and staff, crippling his upcoming hotel launch. I quickly learned the contrast between the two men. Ethan's charm was a performance designed to mask weakness. Lucas's intensity was genuine, stemming from a profound commitment to his craft. He was fiercely protective of his team and his ingredients. One evening, after a major supplier threatened to drop us under pressure from Vance lawyers, I was stressed, pacing my office. Lucas walked in, not to strategize, but simply to hand me a small, meticulously prepared plate of food, a perfect, simple risotto. "Eat," he commanded, his voice gentle but firm. "You can't fight a financial monster when you're running on fumes. Your mind is the weapon. You have to fuel the weapon, Chloe." He didn't offer empty words of encouragement. He offered nourishment, stability, and control, the things Ethan had stolen from me. As we worked together, the professional boundaries softened. We weren't just colleagues. We were a flawless team, anticipating each other's moves, trusting each other's judgment implicitly. Lucas never questioned my strategic ruthlessness, understanding it was born of trauma. And I never questioned his moral compass, knowing it was the only true north in this chaotic world. The slow, quiet accretion of these small acts of integrity was the yeast in our partnership. I was constantly waiting for the deception, the moment Lucas would reveal his own flaw, his own transactional demand. It never came. When a journalist wrote a scathing piece calling me a vengeful gold digger who was using Lucas to rebuild my empire, Lucas didn't issue a legal threat. He simply posted a video of us working together, Lucas cooking, me tasting, both of us laughing with genuine, focused passion. The caption was, "We build on integrity. Ask Ethan Vance what he builds on." He fought for my reputation, not with lawyers, but with truth. I realized I wasn't just attracted to Lucas's talent. I was falling in love with his foundation. The man I had chosen as a tool for destruction was proving to be the only reliable source of light in my second life. The unpaid debt was rapidly becoming an unexpected blessing. The day of the grand opening gala for Ethan Vance's new flagship resort, the Summit, was set for the final, devastating act of our revenge. It was the event that was meant to solidify Ethan's standing, secure his inheritance, and dismiss the scandal of Thorne Alastair as a mere blip. Instead, it would be the site of his execution. Lucas and I, having secured the highest-profile catering contract for the gala, a strategic maneuver that left Ethan speechless, were in command of the hotel's culinary operation. We controlled the menu, the staff, and, most importantly, the stage. I wore a dress the color of dark, rich Cabernet Sauvignon, a dress that spoke of depth and maturity, the perfect contrast to the empty sparkle Ethan admired. Lucas, fiercely protective, stood by me throughout the evening, his presence a shield of unshakable integrity. The ballroom was magnificent, filled with the city's elite, including major investors, the entire Vance family, and, crucially, Eleanor Thompson and her powerful father. Ethan, dressed in a flawless tuxedo, was charming the room, desperate to project control. He saw me and Lucas, his composure momentarily cracking. "Chloe," he greeted, approaching us with a strained smile, trying to recapture his old, dismissive authority. "I must say, Thorne Alastair has managed quite the turnaround. I'm impressed by the speed. Though, I warn you, Lucas, association with this kind of venomous spite won't do your brand any good." Lucas stepped forward, his tone low and chilling. "My brand is built on truth, Ethan. Ask the health inspector." I placed a steadying hand on Lucas's arm, a gesture of ownership and partnership that Ethan clearly recognized. "Enjoy the evening, Ethan. It's a beautiful hotel. A shame about the foundation." The speeches began. After the usual rounds of platitudes from the Vance family, the moment arrived. I, as the head of the catering and hospitality lead, was invited to the stage to present the final, signature dessert. I walked onto the stage, my heart beating with the steady, calm rhythm I had learned from Lucas. I looked out at the crowd, my eyes finding Ethan, who was smiling, oblivious to the knife I was about to twist. Tonight, we celebrate the launch of the summit. I began, my voice clear and ringing. A monument to luxury and vision. But in my world, the world of wine and food, we know that the true quality of a dish is judged not by the garnish, but by the integrity of its core ingredients. I signaled to Lucas, who was standing discreetly by the audiovisual booth. I was once engaged to Ethan Vance. I continued, my gaze locking on my former fiancé. I believed in his vision. I believed in his promise. But tonight, I must reject the entire menu he served me, because the core ingredient was a lie. The huge projection screen behind me, meant to display the dessert presentation, sprang to life. It didn't show a cake. It showed 2 legally certified marriage certificates, one linking Ethan Vance to Chloe Alistair, dated 6 months ago, annulled last week, and a second, current one linking Ethan Vance to Eleanor Thompson, dated 1 month ago. The ballroom erupted in noise, gasps, shouts, and the enraged roar of Eleanor's father. The first lie, I stated, my voice overriding the chaos, was that I was the woman he was marrying. The truth is, he was already married to Eleanor Thompson, a transactional arrangement necessary to secure his inheritance. The screen switched to detailed wire transfers and encrypted emails, the documents I had died to discover. The second lie was that he was building a restaurant with me. The truth is, he was siphoning the investment funds to pay for the legal defense necessary to secure his position after the fraud. Ethan Vance used my professional reputation as a financial asset to cover a long-standing pattern of deception. I exposed every detail, the misuse of the restaurant funds, the timeline of his secret marriage, and the malicious sabotage of Lucas Thorne years ago, with the final piece of evidence being the damning internal memo where Ethan had ordered the forged health reports. Ethan, white-faced, was screaming, trying to rush the stage, but the crowd was a wall of shock and fury. Eleanor's father, realizing his daughter was married to a man who had defrauded him and used her for money, looked ready to launch a legal war on the spot. I turned my back on the chaos, walking toward the edge of the stage, where Lucas stood waiting. Chloe, Ethan managed, his voice tearing, finally making it to the base of the stage. You don't love him. You married him for revenge. It was a transaction. You're just like me. I stopped at the edge of the stage, Lucas's hand reaching out to me. I looked down at the ruined, pathetic shell of the man who had stolen my life. I spoke my final word, not to the microphone, but just to him. You are wrong, Ethan, I said, taking Lucas's steady, honest hand. You taught me that integrity is the only ingredient that matters. And Lucas is the only man who has ever built a foundation out of truth. I let Lucas pull me off the stage and into the sanctuary of the backstage area, leaving Ethan to face the public reckoning. The unpaid debt was finally settled. In the weeks that followed, the collapse was total. Ethan was arrested on multiple fraud charges related to the misuse of investor funds. The Vance family, desperate to protect their name, disinherited him entirely. Eleanor divorced him immediately. Lucas and I, meanwhile, launched Thorne Alistair to critical acclaim. The publicity from the scandal only fueled our ethical narrative, 2 brilliant people rebuilding their careers on the principles Ethan had destroyed. My alliance with Lucas had transformed from a cold, strategic partnership into a deep, resilient love. We were 2 strong forces, united by a shared moral compass. We were sitting in the dining room of Thorne Alistair one late night, reviewing the financial success of our first quarter. The atmosphere was quiet, content, and permeated by the scent of success and honest effort. I reviewed the initial contract we signed, Chloe, Lucas said, pushing the documents aside. The clause regarding the duration of the public alliance is obsolete. The debt has been paid. I looked at him, my heart full. He was giving me the freedom to leave, respecting the transactional nature of our beginning. I won't be needing that clause, Lucas, I replied, reaching across the table to take his hand. The transaction ended the day you chose to fight for my emotional peace instead of just my financial evidence. He squeezed my hand gently. I knew I loved you, Chloe, the day you described the integrity of my kitchen. You saw the truth in me that Mark tried to hide. You saw the foundation I was trying to build, even when I was operating out of a tiny catering van. You are my foundation, Lucas, I confessed, tears of genuine joy pricking my eyes. Ethan taught me that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's manipulation. You taught me that the opposite of manipulation is unflinching, honest partnership. We didn't need a grand, new wedding. Our commitment had been forged in the fire of shared justice and secured by absolute trust. We were a full-bodied blend, the sommelier and the chef, each element complementing and strengthening the other. Lucas and I officially merged our lives and our businesses, building a new hotel and restaurant group focused entirely on ethical sourcing and true hospitality. We had found in each other a love that was complex, resilient, and utterly without artifice. Chloe Alistair, the woman who had died from a broken vow, had returned to settle the score, only to find that the true payment was a second chance at life, built with the strong, honest hands of the man who was meant to be her enduring partner. 5 years later, the scent of truffle and aged oak filled the air of our newest venture, a boutique hotel and culinary institute established in the wake of the Vance collapse. We named it The Catalyst. 5 years had passed since the grand opening gala that simultaneously launched Thorne Alistair and ended Ethan Vance's career. The turbulence of revenge had long settled into the smooth, steady comfort of partnership. My role was no longer just the sommelier. I was the co-founder and chief ethicist, ensuring every contract, every supplier, and every financial transaction met our uncompromising standards built on the lessons of Ethan's failure. Lucas and I had become synonymous with integrity in the luxury market. I stood in the sun-drenched private dining room, reviewing the wine pairings for a large event. Lucas walked in, his uniform pristine, but his chef's eyes focused solely on me. The new batch of sourdough is perfect, he announced, resting his hand on the back of my neck, his touch a familiar, grounding pressure. And the final building permit for the institute came through. Good, I smiled, leaning back into his warmth. Another foundation built entirely on truth. No secret marriages, no siphon funds. Only shared vision, Lucas corrected, turning me toward him. And shared debts. You gave me back my name, Chloe. You gave me back my purpose. And you gave me back my heart, Lucas, I whispered. You taught me that the opposite of betrayal isn't just honesty, it's unwavering loyalty. You were the unpaid debt I came back to collect, and you turned out to be the ultimate prize. We had never remarried legally, deeming the act of revenge marriage, the contract, unnecessary. Our vow was a daily, unspoken commitment to honesty, built on years of shared struggle and mutual respect. Our focus was now on the future. We had recently begun the process of adoption, a decision rooted in the stability and love that defined our second chance. I looked out the window at the bustling, ethical empire we had built. I had started my second life with a cold plan for ruin, determined to destroy the two people who took everything from me. But in the process of seeking justice, I had found the one ingredient I had always lacked, a partner whose character was as strong as my own resolve. I wasn't defined by Ethan's betrayal. I was defined by Lucas's love. The unpaid debt had been repaid in full, leaving me richer, stronger, and finally, truly free.